very good morning. My name is Muhammad Faiz and I will be your moderator for today. First off, greetings from Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center, MGTC. And on behalf of MGTC, we would like to thank you for your precious time by attending this webinar. Before we begin, I would like to share a little bit about our very own organization, MGTC. Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center, MGTC, formerly known as Malaysian Green Technology Corporation, is an agency under the Ministry of Environment and Water, known as CASA. Our mandate is to drive the country in the scope of green growth, climate change mitigation, and green lifestyle. MGTC performs three main roles, which is mainstreaming the green economy through the green products and services expansion programs, such as My Hijau Mark certification program, Green Technology Investment Tax Exemption (GT), as well as training and human capital development schemes. Second, driving climate change mitigation actions such as advocacy for energy efficiency and renewable energy, low carbon urban programs, and low carbon mobility, and also cultivating a green lifestyle through publicity and awareness program in fostering cooperation between the government and private sectors in the global scale platforms such as International Green Tech and Eco Products Exhibition and Conference Malaysia, IGEM, and other public programs, physically or through social media. It is worth to note that Green Standard and Verification Center, in short is GSVC, is responsible of today's webinar. GSVC is one of the department under MGTC with the function that focus on, first, green recognition. This scheme under this activity is the My Hijau Mark and Directory, which a recognition of certified products and services that meet local and international environmental standards under one single mark and listed in the directory. GSVC will assess certified green products and services to be recognized under this program. Second, green technology incentive. GSVC manages and administers incentives introduced by the government to spur the development of green investment under green technology tax incentive. GSVC verifies the green criteria applications for tax incentive, which include three categories: green investment tax allowance for green assets, green investment tax allowance for green project, and green investment tax exemption for green services companies. 3. Government Green Procurement, GGP. Green procurement is one of the strategies to create demand for green products and services. Under the spirit of government, leading by example, the Ministry of Finance, MOF, is championing the government green procurement program, of which MGTC is the implementing agency. GSVC conducts seminar and training to promote the adoption of green procurement among ministries, agencies, state government, and local authorities, including the development of GGP guidelines and product criteria. Okay, for today's webinar, we will having three sessions. We will start off with My Hijau Mark Recognition Scheme for Green Products and Services by Puan Syahira, followed by Tax Incentive Green Investment Tax Allowance and Green Income Tax Exemption by Puan Rosma. As for the Q&A, you may address your questions throughout the presentation or during the Q&A session at the very end of webinar. To ask questions, we appreciate the participant to use the Q&A chat located at the bottom of the screen. You may refresh the web page if the question box are not appear at your display. Okay, before we start with session 1, I would like to call upon Director GSVC, Encik Malik, to give a few words and opening remark. Over to you, Encik Malik.
Yeah, good morning and selamat pagi to everyone. Thank you to Encik Faiz as a moderator for today's session. Okay, welcome to webinar on government incentive in the green technology sector, organized by Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center, MGTC. Actually, a lot of initiative and incentive were introduced by the government of Malaysia in the implementation of green technology and sustainable development since 2009, including the National Green Technology Policy, Green Technology Master Plan, Green Industry and SME Development Program for assisting local companies in producing green product and applying green practices in their premises and operation. Other initiative in MGTC, we have IGEM. So after this, we have the My Hijau Mark Recognition Scheme presented by our speaker. Actually, My Hijau Mark Recognition Scheme is for certified green product services. And also we have the GGP, already mentioned by our moderator. Actually, GGP is demand to create the demand where the ministry agency will buy the green product services. So actually we have the GTFS. Before this we have the GTFS 1.0 and 2.0, where this GTFS already introduced by the government to provide funding facilities. And lastly, we have the Green Technology Incentive, GITA. Actually, we have the speaker, so we present on the GITA. I hope all of you will enjoy and get more information during this webinar session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Encik Malik. Without any further delay, I would like to invite our first speaker, Puan Syaira, to present on My Hijau Mark.
Okay, thank you, Faiz. Let me open up my slideshow first. Okay, first of all, thank you everyone for attending for today's session. First of all, my name is Nur Syahira binti Abdul Rahim. Currently, I'm assigned under the Green Standard and Verification Center. For your information, under our department, we are the department that assigned to overtake the registration of green products and also green services, as well as the providing services for the green technology tax incentive. So for introduction, I will introduce on the My Hijau Mark. So this is my outline for today. I will begin is what is My Hijau marking is all about, and then criteria how to registering under the My Hijau marking. So we have two types of category, which is number one is My Hijau Mark product, second one is My Hijau Mark services, and then followed by the introduction, a little bit introduction on My Hijau directory. Okay, so first of all, how do our program, My Hijau, support sustainability in Malaysia? Okay, so in the context of a Malaysia development, for your information, the United Nations has developed the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG. If you're familiar, SDG is the KPI. There, overall, there is more than 70 KPI. So one of the KPI is to achieve sustainability in the consumption and also production. So the way of the government of Malaysia tackling on the sustainable consumption and also production is throughout leveraging through the My Hijau program. So the way we support the sustainability production is that My Hijau program, we have one program that we call as a green industry and also SME development. So back to date, 2012, we have initiated the program called SME development, whereby under this program, we have identified a list of a company that are basically eligible to be given as a coaching, capacity building, training in terms of how to facilitate their products to go green, how can their staff to be competent in providing the green service companies. Okay, so a part of that, we also give some sort of financing assistance, how can basically helping them to make sure that their product is able to be test accordingly to the environmental standard and so on. So once we have the list of a pool of companies that have been recognized under green companies, SME companies, so we provide them a recognition tool, what we call as a My Hijau marking. Okay, so this tool will be used as a promotional tool for them to say that their product are basically trustworthy, credential as a green product. Okay, so the idea of having the My Hijau marking, the Malaysia official green recognition logo, as you could see on the right, Malaysia My Hijau is basically to make our public, to make our green procurer easily identify green product that available in Malaysia. Okay, So My Hijau marking, as for your information, it could be recognized as like a halal logo. Like halal, if you would like to identify halal product in Malaysia, you would identify the halal logo of searching the halal logo, right? So the same method being used here. If you would like to find the green product, green services available in Malaysia that have been verified by the government of Malaysia, is throughout the logo of My Hijau marking. Okay, so the My Hijau marking is like an endorsement scheme to say that the product or the services basically have been meeting the environmental legislation, standard, and so on. Okay, so that's the way how we tackle the sustainable production. Okay, so the way how the government of Malaysia support for the sustainable consumption is that to create the demand for the green products and also green services, we initiated a green directory, what we call as a My Hijau directory. It is an online website, www.myhijau.my. So this official website is the official website of registering of My Hijau marking, as well as we listed all the My Hijau mark certified products and also services here. So throughout this website, you could see the list of green products and also green service company that have been registered under the My Hijau marking through this website. Okay. So this website also, we portray all our certification and also verification partner that are helping us to do the testing parts and also providing the competency to the companies. Okay, so along the way, the government of Malaysia created the government green procurement. As you could see, the GGP. To support for the government green procurement, our government of Malaysia also introduced KPI under the 11 Malaysia Plan, RMK 11, whereby 20% of the procurement, green procurement value to be achieved by the year of 2020. Okay, so also to support for the implementation of the green government procurement, we also introduce some guidelines of to implement the government green procurement. Currently, we have produced GGP booklet 3.0. This booklet is being used by the government green procurement officer as a reference for them, how to participate in the GGP and then how to do tendering process, and then how to make sure that their product or services that they are procured is basically meeting to the criteria of the GGP and so on. Okay, so to support for the My Hijau program, the government of Malaysia introduced a few of fiscal incentives. So one of it is a green technology tax incentive. Okay, so under the green technology tax incentive, there's a two incentive that been offering. Number one is investment tax allowance that we call as a JITA. Second, we also introduced a green income tax exemption. Okay, so the difference between these two is basically JITA. The investment tax allowance is for company who procuring the product, including equipment and also system, while income tax exemption is for company who providing the green service provider. Okay, so another types of fiscal incentive that we are offering to support the My Hijau is green technology financing scheme. So back away, the GTFS have been offering 2% interest rebate, and as well as the government will be the guarantor for the project loan offering. Okay, so as of now, the GTFS 3.0 has been now for a while. So basically, that's the way how My Hijau supports sustainability. Okay. So as I mentioned, My Hijau is a green endorsement, like a green recognition for those certified green products and also service provider. Meaning, if your product would like to be recognized under the MyHijau marking, your product must be certified first by the third party testing laboratory or verification bodies. Okay, so here not to make you guys I would like to make a clarification. MyHijau is basically is a green recognition scheme. Okay, so it is not a green certification scheme. MyHijau is a green recognition or endorsement scheme to all the certified products and also services. Okay, so here all the green certification scheme that we recognize under the MyHijau marking. Okay, so in order for the product to be recognized under the marking, you have to obtain either one of these labels. For your information, existing in the world, we have more than 300 green label or green certification scheme existed in the world. So you can find the list of the green certification scheme at www.ecolabellindex.com. So here all the labels are recognized by the MyHijau marking. Okay, so as you could see, the label is coming either from Malaysia or overseas. So each of the green certification scheme being listed here is basically have their own parameter, have their own standard, their own technical criteria and so on. Okay, so by having verified and also recognized by the MyHijau marking, we are making sure that the green certification scheme is up to the level of our standard or benchmark or parameter of the MyHijau marking. Is meeting to the Malaysia government environmental standard and so on. Okay. Okay. So now we go to what are the benefit of having the MyHijau mark registration or MyHijau mark recognition scheme, or what are the benefit? People always ask what are the benefit of having the recognition tools, because I already have the green label certification scheme. So here are the benefits of having the recognition. Okay, by having the recognition, number one, your product, of course, will be prioritized for the government green procurement. Okay, government green procurement is basically a process of whereby the government open up a tendering process to procure all the green products as well as the green service provider. Okay, so when the government open up tender to procure green product, they will basically mention there they will prioritize only the MyHijau mark product and also MyHijau mark service company. Okay, could be eligible to participate under that tendering process. Okay. So this meaning to say that basically if you are MyHijau mark product, you will obtain some sort of additional criteria or additional points if you're participating under the government green procurement. Okay, so apart from that, you will also be entitled to participating under the private procurement purchasing. Okay, so for example, like Plus, Berhad, if they open up a tender, or Celcom, or DG, or Astro, for example, or even the several state rural areas, for example, when they open up a tender, let's say if they are open up a tender to procure street lighting, for example, or LED lighting, for example, so they will mentionly make sure that they need the product to be recognized under the MyHijau marking first. Okay, so that will be the first benefit for all the MyHijau mark companies that been registering under the MyHijau marking. Okay, so second, the benefit of having the marking is that your client or your customer who purchasing the MyHijau mark product, okay, including the equipment and also system, they could enjoy to claim back the green investment tax allowance, okay, the JITA. So meaning to say, they can have the tax deduction upon their company, upon their company tax. Okay, so they can claim back the amount of investment value 100%. So the application of this JITA is open up until up to 2023. So for your information, JITA we have two types. One is asset and another one is project. So later on, my colleague Puan Rosma, she will brief more details on the types of a category that under the JITA. Okay. So the third benefit of having the marking, my hijau marking, is that for the service provider, for the green service provider, green companies that providing the green services. For example, like you are installing the solar PV, a solar PV installer, or you are basically participating in the green building facility management, for example. Okay, you can you could eligible for green income tax exemption. Okay, meaning you don't have to pay the company tax up to 5 years. Okay, so that will be the benefit of having the major marking. Number one is, of course, for you to participating in the GGP. Second would be the benefit to claim back for the green investment tax allowance. And then number three is for the service provider to eligible for green income tax exemption. Okay. So I just want to share a little bit information on what is GGP. So for your information, the GGP has been implemented back year of 2016. Whereby we have selected about 20 product groups comprising from products and also services. So we have involved 12 ministry at the earliest stage to participate in the GGP. So the criteria of selection of the product group is based on number one, the most highest procurement value that has been purchased by the government of Malaysia. Second, the readiness of the supplier or the green market readiness to supply the green products. So along the way, if you could see, we have increased more product groups. So up to 2020, we have more than 30 products group. So updated in our listed right currently, we have we have 40 product groups that have been participating in the government green procurement. Okay, so currently almost 25 ministry, including their government agency and also their companies that under the ministry have been involved in the GGP implementation. Okay, like I mentioned before, to support for the implementation of the GGP, the government had announced to target of 20% the GGP value by the year of 2020. Okay, so as you could see, these are the list of the product groups that I mentioned before. So back earlier day, if you could see, we have a product that coming from the construction, like fiber cement, energy efficient indoor lighting, some of the EE equipment like ICT. Okay, so along the way, we have increased more consumable product like pen, biodegradable packaging, stationery, rubber product, okay, and so on. So for some of the services that we have included in the product groups, like for example, hotel, green hotel, rainwater harvesting system, printing services, building facility management services, and so on. So we also have included like sustainable event management, aircon system maintenance, fertilizer, toner, electric pump, and so on. Okay. So if you guys would like to know further more detail, the updated product groups that have been participated in the GGP, later on we will share the link to download the GGP guideline booklet 3.0. Okay. So here are the booklet that I mentioned before. So this is the guideline to participate in the GGP, Garis Panduan Perolehan Hijau Kerajaan. Okay, so updated, we have increased 40 product groups that have been included in the Garis Panduan Perolehan Hijau Kerajaan, okay, GGP 3.0, which is we have introduced this booklet by October 2020, okay. So inside this booklet, it will be used by our government green procurement officer to participate in the GGP by learning throughout the technical criteria and then guideline how to run the tendering process, and then the selection criteria, how to select between product A, product B, that are basically having the same product group but different technical asymmetry, technical criteria, and so on. Okay. So just to share with you, by the year of 2019, the total GDP value that we have been achieved is almost 1.195 billion. So the most highest procurement value by the product of ICT, like laptop, multi-photocopier machine, and so on. Okay, so followed by the solar panel system, okay, and so on. Okay, then I will go to the criteria of how to register for My Hijau marking, right? So for your information, we have two types of category under the My Hijau marking. Number one, we have My Hijau mark product. This one is applicable for companies who are producing green products, as well as the reseller or trader or distributor that are distributing the green products here in Malaysia. Okay, another one, we have My Hijau mark services. So this one is applicable for green service provider. Okay, so for your information, the registering process is throughout the online website. You have to go to www.myhijau.my. So here, you have to do the online registering. The online process is very simple. There's a no hard copy submission, except for one documentation, what we call as a statutory declaration form. Okay, so this form is basically you need to go to Commissioner of Oath, get the sign and also chalk by the Commissioner of Oath, and then you have to submit the original copy to our office. Okay, so basically the process of registering the My Hijau marking is that number one, you have to log in via the system, and then you have to key in or fill up the company information like your company name, your company address, registration number, okay, and then the company contact person. And then the next step followed by the updating on the product information. Okay, so you need to update the product information like the product certification, and then product brochure, image, and so on. And then you have to go to the payment, and also the last one, the SDF, and then next one is you submit the application through the online system. Okay. So the duration that we taken is overall between 7 to 22 working days, right? So here are the general criteria of registering your product or your services under the My Hijau marking. Meaning to say, in order for you to register your product or your services under the My Hijau marking, you must make sure that the product or the services must meet all the following criteria. Okay, number one, the product need to minimize the degradation of the environment or reduce the GHG. And it also promotes the health, improves the environment, and also it conserves the use of energy, water, or other form of natural resources. Or it promotes the use of RE, or is it able to recycle the material resources. Okay, so for your information, all these general criteria is derived from the National Green Technology Policy, backdated by our previous former ministry, Kementerian Tenaga Teknologi Hijau dan juga Air lah, right? So I will go to the product first, the specific criteria to register your product under the My Hijau marking. Okay, For the company or businesses that are registering under the My Hijau Mak Perda, you must be a sedian berhad or enterprise. Okay. Private limited we also accept. However, you have to upload together the surat kelulusan from MIDA saying that you have the right and also permission to operate here in Malaysia for several years. Okay. So for the reseller or distributor, for this kind of application, you need to submit together your letter of authorization. Okay. Saying that you have the right and also permission to reuse, to sell, to distribute the product here in Malaysia from the principal. Okay. So we go to the specific criteria of registering your product. This is the most important one. Okay. In order for you to having the recognition scheme, you must have the existing green label certification. Okay. Meaning your product must be certified first by the third party or by the independent certification body that have been recognized by MGTC. All right. So, or we have another types of a compliance. You must have the existing performance standard compliance test report. Okay, that coming from the independent certification body. Or accredited testing laboratory, meaning if the test report is coming from China, for example, okay, the China report must be accredited by the CNAS, meaning the Department of Standard of China, accredited Department of Standard of China at China. Okay. So here are the our requirement for the green product certification. Okay, this is the criteria of the green product certification that we basically accepted. Okay, so number one, if you have the green label certificate, okay, standard applicable is ISO 40024. The name is Eco Label, okay, Eco Label Type 1. Yes, you can register your product under the My Hijau marking. Okay, so example of Eco Label Type 1 in Malaysia, we have Serim Eco Label. Okay, so if you have the Serim Eco Label, you can register your product under the My Hijau marking. Okay, another example, if you have from overseas, Eco Label Type 1, for example, Singapore Green Label, okay, Singapore Green Label, SGL. So you could also register your product under the My Hijau marking, okay, as long as the certification is fall under the Eco Label Type 1, you can register your product under the My Hijau marking, okay. So let's say if you have from overseas, do you need to retest your product in Malaysia? No, because we will basically what we call recognize the green certification from the overseas. Okay, so you just not you do not have to repeat the testing of the product again in Malaysia. Okay. So second category of certificate that we recognize here, if you have the certification from Eco Label Type 3, okay? So the standard is ISO 40025. So example I give here is Serim, carbon footprint in our national scheme. Malaysia national scheme for Eco Label Type 3 is Serim carbon footprint. Okay, so if you have the Serim carbon footprint, you also can register the product under the My Hijau marking. Okay, saying for example, if you have from overseas, also Eco Label Type 3 under the ISO 40025. Okay, for example, you have Japan carbon footprint. Okay, for example, so you also can register the product under the My Hijau marking. Okay, so that would be the category number 2. Okay, category number 3, if you have the cert from the Voluntary Sustainable Scheme, okay, VSS. Like for example, energy efficiency certificate, water efficiency product labeling scheme certificate, or you have the FAC atau MGTC cert, atau you have the OK Compost cert. Okay, so all the single criteria certification, okay, you can register your product under the hijau marking. Okay, so this certificate is known or applicable under the VSS category. Okay, so last one. Here, if you have the performance standard compliant test report, okay, performance standard compliant test report that coming from the independent certification body or independent testing laboratory, like for example, SGS, GUV, Bureau Veritas, okay, so you could register your product under the hijau marking. Okay, example I give here is electric motorcycle. Okay, so the electric motorcycle have been performed to the standard Malaysia Standard 2413 Part 3 to the performance test. Okay, so I like to remind or to take note here, under the performance standard compliant test report, when you are submitting under this category, you have to make sure that you submit together the safety and also the quality test report. Okay, so under the fourth category, you need to make sure that you have the safety, quality, and the most important one is the performance test report. Okay. Okay, just some introduction on what is eco-label type 1. Okay, so if you're interested to have your product being certified under the eco-label type 1, for your information, is a third-party certification, meaning your product, your factory will be audited, okay, by the third party. Like for example, if you go to CIRIM, so CIRIM party auditor, they will go to your factory and audit your products and also test your product according to the product criteria documents. Okay, so they will basically assessing your product based on a multiple criteria lah. Okay, starting on the raw material extraction towards up to the disposal of the product. Okay, for example, if you're claimable that your paint is basically a green paint, so starting from the raw material of the green paint, they will see whether it is based from water-based, or is it a solvent-based, or is it a inorganic, and so on. And then during the production of the green paint, they will looking at the is there any permissible heavy metal or hazardous toxic material being used. Okay, so during the transportation use, is there any take back policy has been implemented? Okay, so during the usage of the product, is there any formaldehyde or volatile organic compound being emitted? Okay, and up to the disposal. So basically, if you having your product being certified under the eco-label type 1, that would be great, and that would be awesome, because this is really good because they will looking the green element criteria for the throughout entire of the product life cycle. Okay, so the example, if people ask you what are the national Malaysian national eco-label scheme, you could say that CIRIM is our eco-label scheme. Okay, so like other countries, every countries, they will have their own eco-label. Okay, for example, Thailand, they have their Thailand green label. Singapore, they have Singapore green label. Like Indonesia, they have their Ramah Lingkungan eco-label. Okay, so next I will go to the short explanation on the eco-label type 3. So the difference between eco-label type 3 and also eco-label type 1 is that eco-label type 3, they will quantify the carbon CO2 emission value. So the lower of the CO2 emission be emitted from the product is better. Okay, so they will quantify the value of CO2 reduction throughout the process of the life cycle. Okay, so same goes like the eco-label type 1. They will calculate the CO2 emission starting from the raw material extraction and then during the manufacturing phases, during the distribution up to the end of the life. Okay, so they will basically have some method being used like cradle to gate, okay, and so on lah. Alright. So if you're interested in Malaysia, if you would like to have your carbon footprint, you could go to SIRIM because SIRIM have the SIRIM product carbon footprint. Okay, so for your information, for carbon footprint, they will show the value of CO2 emission being emitted by the product. Okay, so for other countries as well, they have their own carbon footprint label. Saying, for example, you have the carbon footprint from other countries, like you have obtained Japan carbon footprint, for example. Yes, you could also register your product under the mahijau marking. Okay. Okay, next I will go to the VSS short explanation. VSS, it could be a voluntary, it could be a mandatory. Okay, so it is a third party certification as well because there's a third party that been coming to your factory and audit on the product itself. Okay, however, on the VSS certification criteria, it will be based on the single criteria, okay? Meaning to say, you will be given the certification based on, is it energy efficient or is it water efficient? Is it because of it's biodegradable? Is it because it is conserving the natural forest and so on, okay? So it could be a mandatory, like here in Malaysia, we have one logo that we call as an Energy Star rating, okay, that have been introduced by the Energy Commission, the Suruhanjaya Tenaga. So for your information, it have been mandatory for 6 electrical appliances, which are lamp, refrigerator, TV, air conditioning, washing machine, and also last one I can't remember, but this is 6 electrical appliances that have been mandatory operating by the Suruhanjaya Tenaga, right? To make sure that all these electrical appliances basically meeting to the 3, 4, or 5 star regulated. Okay. So here are the level that for energy efficiency level. So if Malaysia, we recognize the energy efficiency rating and also labeling scheme. Okay, here I mentioned earlier from Suruhanjaya Tenaga, right? So for my hijau mark registration, we only recognize 5 star only. Okay, so is it coming from foreign countries or overseas country, like you already obtained the Energy Star, okay, Energy Star certification, like from US, you also can register your product here in Malaysia. Okay, other example, if your machinery, okay, like pump or your chiller or your air conditioning, okay, have been obtained the high efficiency certification from Korea, yes, you also can register your product under the mahijau marking. Okay, say for example, you have the China cert for energy conservation for your blower, for your pump, for example, okay, for your compressor, for example, yes, you also can use that certification to register for the mahijau marking. Okay. So here are the level for the water efficiency. So in Malaysia, we have recognized the WEP scheme from our Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara. So for information, we recognize 2 and 3 star only. Okay. So is it coming from the overseas countries, same WEP scheme being applicable, yes, we also could recognize them. Okay, so for example, your water taps, okay, already been certified by Australia water rating. Okay, so we also can recognize the product under the mahijau marking. Okay, here are the example for the sustainable timber sources. Okay, so if your product have been coming from or obtaining the MTCC logo, okay, or let's say your product already obtaining the FAC logo. Okay, this will be familiar, or this will be the commonly used that I could say we could easily identify them in the basically FAC logo, because for your information, FAC logo and also PFC logo has been mandated throughout the Europe. So basically, for example, if you go to IKEA, so most of the IKEA product, furniture coming from IKEA has been certified by the Forest Stewardship Council, FAC. Okay, so if your product already obtained any one of these logo, you could register them under the hijau marking. All right. So here are the others example, VSS logo for recycled product. Okay. Say for example, you claim that your product is basically derived from a recycled product. It is made up from 100% recycled PET bottle, for example. So you can basically obtain the global recycle standard. Okay. Or let's say you claim that your product is basically 100% derived from non-toxic hazardous material fabric. Okay, so you could obtain the OECOTEX 100 certificate. All right. So another example, if let's say your product is biodegradable or compostable, you also could obtain the OK Compost certification. Right, so other example I give here, if your product is basically derived from renewable energy, what we call appliances or renewable energy equipment, including system. For example, you have the solar thermal, okay, if you have the solar PV panel or you have the solar inverter, okay, you could also obtain the micro generation certification scheme from BSI. Okay, so last one for the certification that we recognize under the My Hijau Mark product is the performance standard compliance. Okay, so again, I would like to remind, basically you have to submit together the safety, quality and also performance test report. You have to make sure that the test report is not declared by your own side. It must be coming from the third party. Third party here meaning it must be coming from the accredited testing laboratory from their own origin countries. Okay. Like example I give you here is the SIRIM QAS test report for the electric motorcycle, whereby the electric motorcycle have been tested according to Malaysia standard 2413 part 1, part 2 and also part 3. Okay, so it cover all safety, quality and also performance. A good test report that will mention on the reference standard, they will specifically mention the model, the quantity, the standard, okay, signed by the approved signatory body. So another example for the performance standard compliant test report that we accepted is for solar PV. If solar PV and also solar inverter, okay, for example, we will request for the product certification that cover for the safety, quality and also performance. Like here, for example, we have the solar panel, right? So we will request the test report that compliance to the IEC 61215 that have been issued out by the VDE testing laboratory. Okay. Also, to support on the test report, we will require additional test report that could cover for the others safety and also quality. Yeah. For example, we will require further detail on the IEC 61730 and so on. Okay. So finish on the My Hijau Mark product. Okay, so basically I have covered on the what is basically recognition of My Hijau marking, and then the idea of having the marking, the benefits of having the marking, and then I go to the next part, which is the criteria of to register your product under the My Hijau marking. Okay, So we have 4 types of criteria. Number 1 is eco-label type 1, next followed by eco-label type 3, and then VSS, and then the last one is performance standard compliance. Okay, next I will go to the criteria of registering your services. Okay, all right. So for services, your company must be a Malaysian Sdn Berhad or Berhad. Okay. Enterprise, you also can register your service under the Mahijawat services. Okay. However, you are not entitled to obtain the green income tax exemption. Okay. So here are the most important parts. The criteria how to register for services. Okay. Okay, number 1, you must have at least one manager or supervisor level that have been recognized professional qualification, or must be have a competent person here. Okay, competent person here not defined as a bachelor academician like professor, IR, and so on. However, it is defined based on the service that you had offering. Okay, for example, if you are basically solar PV installer, so you must have one competent person that have been registering at SEDA as a solar ISPQ certified courses, or your company itself have been registering as a solar service provider. Okay. Say, for example, if you are participating or doing businesses that relating of green building management, so you must have at least one competent person that has a GPI facilitator or green RE manager, for example. So that's what we call as a competent certification. Okay, that will be our first criteria. Second criteria, you must have a green policy. Okay, green policy here meaning is a one single pages. Okay, you have to write your vision, mission, your declaration statement towards your commitment to the sustainability. Okay, at the end of the pages, signed by your CEO or MD. Okay, that's all. Okay, third one, you must submit the SOP. I think during the pandemic of COVID-19 here, we are very familiarized with the SOP words, okay? So here also, for your information, to register your services, we also need the SOP, Standard Operating Procedure, meaning you have to basically submit to us the flowchart version or the write-up version, how you run your services, starting from the project initiation, coming to the consultancy services, and then up to the installation part, until towards the how you tackle the disposal of the units or disposal of the product. Okay, so it would be good if you give to us in the form of a flow chart, and then who are the PIC assigned, and then followed by the duration. Okay. So here are the example of a competency certificate. This is from ISPQ SEDA, and then this is from GBI Facilitator. We also accepted the certificate from Energy Manager. Okay. So here are the example of the policy that I mentioned before. So you stated your declaration of commitment, your objective, responsibility, and so on. So here are the SOP, the Standard Operating Procedure that I mentioned before. This is an example for solar photovoltaic system. Okay, so for example, if you like to know further details, the template or how to do the SOP and so on, accordingly to the services that have been offering, you may also email to us, then we will assist you further on that. Okay, so just some additional information. We do have the registration fee or application fees. Okay, so for product, we have the application fees of 500 ringgit per single certificate that you submitted. Okay, so we also have the renewal fee, 500 ringgit. For your information, my hijau certificate, we have the validity of the certificate. Okay, so for the validity of the certification, we follow the original or existing certificate that you have been used, or we have also the maximum of 3 years from the certification validity. Okay, meaning to say if you are submitting the Serial Ecolabel, the Serial Ecolabel validity period is 2 years. So we will follow 2 years, okay? But if you're submitting, for example, the certification is coming from FSC, which is 5 years. So our maximum time period is only up to 3 years, okay? So for the processing fee for the service provider, we charge 1,000 ringgit. Also for the renewal fee, also same. Just to mention here, for both renewal application process, is the same as the first time applicant submission. Okay. All right. So I'm pleased to share here all our registered certification and also verification partner. So here we have more than 20 certification and verification partner that could assist you further to test your product, to making sure that your product are basically meeting to the environmental standard and also legislation. Okay, so we have SIRIM, ST, SPAN, MTCC. We have several testing laboratories, including the international testing laboratory like QAV, TUV. We have SGS, BSI, and so on. Okay, so upcoming we also have the watermarks, and also we have the NAHRIM, the water quality laboratory that have joined us on board. So they could assist you further for the product certification and also on the competent certification. So just to share with you, by the last year, we have achieved more than 7,000 products registered under the My Hijau Mark product, including services. So this year, we hope that we could achieve more than 10,000 green products and also services under the My Hijau marking. So we are very most welcoming your product as well as your services to be registered under the My Hijau marking. Right, so here are our website, the outline of our My Hijau website. So again, here you have to register the application throughout this website, and then also we have the directory here on the website whereby you can basically sorting, filter accordingly to the sector that you would like to have, and then we will show more detail on the product information like the product name, the brand, so what is green about this product, what are the certificates that have been received by this product, okay, what are the environmental claim and so on, okay. So if you would like to know more further on the product, you could also contact the company over below there. We also share the contact person. So apart from the website, we also have the mobile apps, okay, what we call as the My Hijau mobile apps lah. So you can download throughout the Apple Store or the Google Play, okay. So again, the mobile apps is for the directory purposes. So you could find easily all the products and also services, product information throughout the mobile apps, okay. Last one, I would like to offer to all My Hijau Mark product company, okay, that will be coming on board to register your product under the My Hijau marking to exhibit and also display your product here at our green gallery at our office. Okay, this is a green section or green corner whereby we portray, we display all the green product that have been recognized under the My Hijau marking. So when people or visitor or public or delegates, trade ministry coming to our office, we show them here are all the available green products in Malaysia. Okay. So that's all my presentation for today. So any further information or clarification or inquiries, you may send to me through my email, noorshahira@mgtc.gov.my. I'm pleased to assist you further on the inquiry, okay? So I wish to say to everyone to stay safe and also stay healthy. So hope that the pandemic of COVID-19 akan reda secepat and everything will be going back to the normal. Okay, so be safe and also be healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan Syaira, for the detailed input of Mahijau. Let us move on to the next session. Now, I would like to invite Puan Rosmah to present on Kita-Kita. Over to you, Puan Rosmah.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Faiz. Okay, so let me share my slide presentation for today. Okay, all right. Okay, so hi everybody. Assalamualaikum and good morning to our value participants today. So and hope everyone in a good condition, in a good health. All right, so without any further delay, I will proceed with my briefing today on the information of Green Technology Tax Incentive for the green technology sector in Malaysia, which is consists of two main categories, which is Green Investment Tax Allowance, or we call it GITA, and Green Income Tax Exemption, or we call it GITE in short. Okay. Okay, so the outline of my presentation today would be introduction of the incentive, category of Green Technology Tax Incentive, the details on each category, which is GITA Asset, GITA Project, as well as GITA Services. Okay, a little bit on the introduction of this incentive. This incentive has been introduced during the budget 2014 with the main objective to strengthen the development of green technology in Malaysia. Okay, and moving forward, there is an improvement on the incentive, whereby in the budget 2019, the government has announced that there is an additional asset to the existing asset, which is from 9 asset to 40 asset, that will be listed as a qualifying green technology asset. Okay. And currently, during the budget 2020, government has announced the extension of this incentive, okay, until 31st December 2023, which the additional category, which is income tax exemption for solar leasing activities, that is under the purview of SEDA Malaysia. Okay. And this is the category of green technology tax incentive that available. As I mentioned, actually there is a two main category for this incentive, which is green investment tax allowance for GITA or GITA asset, and then number two, GITA for project, and as well as green income tax exemption on GITA or GITA for service provider. Okay, so we will go to each category in detail. So first is green investment tax allowance for GITA asset. Okay, this is the guideline on GITA asset, and verification on GITA assets. What is the rules of MGTC for the GITA asset? So basically, our rules is more to verify on the approved green technology asset, okay, and green impact from the acquisition of that particular green technology asset. Okay, and our verification will be based on the asset that are registered under My Hijau Mark. Okay, this is very important. Registered under My Hijau Mark and listed under My Hijau directory. And guideline on GITA asset company. Okay, company that had incurred qualifying capital expenditure in green technology investment and comply with all the following criteria. This is the standard criteria if the company embark on green technology project or activities. Okay, so number 2, asset must be registered and listed under the My Hijau directory. This is mandatory requirement. Yeah. Okay, so rate of incentive. Rate of incentive is 100% of qualifying capital expenditure incurred on approved green technology asset. Okay, so meaning that if we talk about capex, this is the price of the qualifying asset that you are purchased. Layman term said that if you are purchased the green technology asset with the price or with the amount of 50K, okay, so you will get back that 50K in a tax calculation or tax form. Okay, so basically a rate of incentive 100%. So we will have two table for the qualifying asset, which is table A. This is the previous asset, green asset, that has been approved or announced during the budget 2014. Okay, and then another table B is the additional asset announced during the budget 2019. Okay, so we'll go one by one. Okay, so the commencement date for GITA asset incentive can be claimed in the year of assessment where the GITA asset is purchased. Okay, and period of purchase must be made from 25th October 2013, okay, until 31st December 2023. But of course, there will be a criteria that the company need to fulfill, okay, in terms of the period of purchase. And then companies must submit the application to MGTC at least 2 years from the date of asset purchase. Okay, so let's say the company, they already purchased the green asset in 2017. Okay, and then they only submit the application to MGTC this year. So they will not eligible for the incentive. Okay, at least you must purchase the asset in 2019. Okay, 2019 to 2021 is 2 years. Okay, at least 2 years from the date of asset purchase, which is we refer to the date stated in the invoice from the supplier. Okay. All right. So the condition for this, what we call it, GITA asset, green technology asset must be owned by the company. Okay, by the company who submit the application, right? And the business must be carried out in Malaysia. Okay, green technology asset must be used for own consumption only and not for income generation. The qualifying capital expenditure must be qualified asset by MOF. Okay, I will show you the list of qualifying asset later on. And then once validation letter is issued to the company, claim may be made in the tax return form, and all supporting document must be kept, okay, and produced to IRB when they requested for the supporting documents. However, this is very important note to all the applicant. Please note that the Gazette order for this GITA asset as well as GITA project is still under the process and yet to be issued by MOF. Okay, and important that incentive can only be claimed after the issuance of Gazette order, and we have been informed that the relevant ministry, which is MOF, they are trying their best to issue the Gazette order within this year, okay, because the delay, of course, because of this pandemic since last year, so it has to be one of the contribute to the delay of the Gazette order, okay. And okay, so this is the table A for the list of qualifying asset that has been approved previously during the budget 2014. Okay, so previously we have 9 assets in total, which is eligible to submit the application for GITA asset. So basically we have energy efficient transformer, solar aircon, very important. This is solar aircon, okay, not hybrid or normal aircon. This is for solar aircon. Okay, thermal energy storage, VAV, VRV, electric, and then for transportation, okay, transportation for EV. So basically this is the three product that eligible for this incentive under GITA asset, which is electric motorcycle or scooter, electric bus, electric MPV or truck only, okay. And then for EV infrastructure, of course, for eligible for electric vehicle charging equipment or system. Okay, so under table B, this is the qualifying asset announced during the budget 2019. So basically we have another additional GITA asset. So energy efficient chiller, high efficiency absorption aircon, okay, high efficiency cooling tower, high efficiency air compressor, energy efficient industrial furnace, battery, and okay, please note that this is the battery for renewable energy only, okay. And then trash compactor with energy efficient motor, as well as for water sector, we have energy efficient pump. Okay, I wanted to share with all of you, because if you refer to our guideline, actually there is a list of 40 asset in total, okay, which is the additional during the that has been announced during the budget 2019, right? When you refer to our table B, there is only 8 assets. So why this happened? Actually, because of there is an issue on policy matter. So some of the asset will be eligible under GITA project for energy efficient sector under GITA project, which is the submission will go to MIDA. Okay. All right. So this is the process flow for GITA asset, which is the submission will go directly to MGTC. Very straightforward. What you need to do is just you need to go to our guideline, okay, and then refer or check on the asset eligibility, especially on the list of qualifying asset that eligible to submit under GITA for asset. Okay, and then of course, with the mandatory requirement, the qualifying asset must be certified under My Hijau mark, okay, or listed under My Hijau directory. And then after that, company need to submit an application to MGTC, okay, via our application form, MGTC GITA/A that you can download from our website. Okay, and our please note that our submission is online submission or through email only. You don't need to submit in hard copy. Okay, and then we will process the application based on the criteria and everything. So there will be supporting document that the company need to submit. Checklist and everything is available in that application form. You can refer to the checklist. Okay. So once we process the application and everything in order, we will issue a validation letter to the company. So basically with that validation letter, company may submit or may proceed with the tax process to IRB. But of course, you will need to wait until the gazette order is available. Okay. All right, so moving forward to GITA project. So basically, actually this is, if you refer to my slide, there is a determination on effective date. So basically this is the new function that has been added to MGTC, okay, since 2020, October 2020, okay, under the new regime of the incentive. So MGTC will determine on the effective date of the what we call it of the GITA project. Okay, so our rules, okay, on the determination of effective date, which is effective for the GITA project as well as GITA services for any application made to MIDA from 1st January 2020, and then the submission of determination on effective date after company receive MIDA interim approval letter. So if you refer to MIDA interim letter, so there is a few conditions that the company need to fulfill before the submission to MGTC. So basically, for easy reference, or what we call it process, once the company receive MIDA interim approval letter, what you need to do is just contact MGTC. If you don't know how to proceed with the submission, contact us, and then we will inform you, we will advise you how the process gonna be. Okay, but very important that the company need to refer to the MIDA interim letter. Okay, because there is a situation that the company, after they receive the MIDA interim approval letter, they thought that they already what we call it, they already fulfill the incentive condition. So they don't go to MGTC. They wait until their tax declaration to IRB, and then just submit the MIDA interim approval letter, and of course they will be rejected by IRB because they didn't fulfill all the condition in the interim approval letter. So very important to go through one by one conditions stated in that letter. Okay, so yeah, the application form for the determination on effective date can be downloaded from our website at www.mgtc.gov.my. Okay. So moving forward to guidelines on GITA project. So verification on GITA projects, as I mentioned, the rules of MGTC will come after the company receive MIDA interim approval letter. So one of the conditions is the company need to go to MGTC to go to do the verification on asset as well as the projects that they are embarked on. Okay, so our rules is to verify the technical requirement, including main equipment or asset, as a major components for the performance and green impact from the project. Okay, so verification will be based on the following requirement. This is our main requirement, which is the main equipment or asset used in that project must be recognized and registered under the My Hijau mark. There is an option if the equipment used in the project, they yet to have a My Hijau mark, so they can proceed using the product certification. So product certification, of course, consists of safety, quality, performance, compliance. Okay, and then of course the product certification must be documented, registered, and accepted by MGTC. Okay, so project impacts to the environment. This is the data that we wanted to have to the approved project under this GITA project. So of course we will calculate in terms of GHG emission reduction, waste reduction. Is there any energy saving? Is there any cost saving from that particular approved project? Okay, so in this case we will have our own technical expert. So technical expert is not in-house expert. This is the third-party technical expert that we are engaged with to make sure the transparent of that every every technical evaluation that they submit to us. Okay, and guideline on GITA project. Okay, so the following criteria. This is the standard following criteria for the green criteria. Okay, number 2, applicable for application received by MIDA starting from 1st January 2020 until 31st December 2023. Okay, this is very important. Point number 3 is very important, which is the application must be submitted to MIDA before first qualifying capital expenditure incurred. Okay, you may submit the application to MIDA, okay, with the expectation, or with the, we can call it the proposal of your project, okay, before anything incurred. Okay, because once you incur just, let's say, 5% for that particular project that you wanted to submit for the incentive, you will be rejected. All right, so make sure that there is no capital expenditure incurred. Okay, submit your application first. Okay, so projects must obtain a conditional approval letter or interim approval letter from MIDA before you proceed to MGTC for our verification. And then green building is one of the qualifying project or activities under the GITA project. So for green building, company is allowed to submit application to MIDA after receiving provisional certificate. Okay, this is the first certificate, or GBI, they will call this design assessment certificate. All right, and not later than having been awarded by the final green building certificate. Okay, you need to have the provisional certificate first, and then later you are eligible to submit an application to MIDA. Okay, and the qualifying capital expenditure can be backdated, but not earlier than 3 years from the date of application received by MIDA. Okay, and not earlier than 1st January 2020, right? And rate of incentive for GITA project is 100%. Okay, 100% of capex incurred on the particular green technology project from the date of first qualifying capital expenditure incurred after application received by MIDA. And then allowance can be offset against 70% of statutory income in the year of assessment. Another 30% you still need to pay to IRB for your tax. Okay, so if there any balance from your ITA for the particular year, the unutilized allowance can be carried forward until they are fully absorbed. There is no timeline, says 20 years, how many years that I need to utilize my my incentive or my ITA. No, there is no timeline. Okay, the unutilized allowance can be carried forward until fully absorbed. Okay. All right, the commencement date for application to MIDA from 1st January 2020 until 31st December 2023. The incentive period is for 3 years, starting from the first date of qualifying capital expenditure, okay, as verified by MGTC. This is for the determination of effective date for the ITA or for the incentive. Okay, so the first date of qualifying capital expenditure incurred shall not be earlier than date of application received by MIDA. This is the point that I mentioned earlier, that you need to submit an application to MIDA first before incurred any capex for the particular project. Okay, conditions for GITA project. Okay, the equipment or asset in the GITA project must be owned by the company itself, right? And then when equipment or asset in the GITA project must be recognized and registered with My Hijau mark or product certification that is recognized and accepted by MGTC. All right, so there will be an annual verification that will be conducted by MGTC throughout the incentive period. Okay, this is to monitor the implementation of the project as well as the impact of that project to the environment. Okay, and the situations like a GITA asset. So once a verification letter is issued, company may proceed with the tax claim to IRB. Okay. And this is the list of qualifying activities under GITA project. So basically we have 5 qualifying activity that are eligible to submit the application under GITA project. So number 1, we have renewable energy. So when we talk about renewable energy, of course, the project must be in biomass, biogas, mini hydro, geothermal, as well as solar power. Okay, so any commercial or industrial business that undertake the generation of energy by using RE is eligible to submit the application under GITA project for RE. Okay, so number 2 is for the company that embark or invest in energy efficient equipment, okay, or technologies, or they just wanted to replace their all inefficient equipment, okay, with the energy saving equipment. So they are eligible under GITA project for EE sector. All right, and then green building is for the building owners of the commercial or industrial building only that have obtained their provisional certificate from locally developed rating tool or certification body that approved by the government. Okay, and then number 4, for the company that purchase any energy efficient product or solution, okay, for data center, and then they already been awarded under the green building certificates from our locally developed rating tools, okay, and they are eligible to submit an application as well. And then last but not least is integrated waste management. Okay, so for the company which undertake or invest in waste recycling or waste recovery or waste treatment with the additional activity, additional activities such as composting, store, collection, or disposal. Okay. So this is the process flow for GITA project. Okay, applicant should check their eligibility on GITA project. Okay, and then after that, this is the process where the submission to MIDA. Okay, so starting March 2021, MIDA actually they go online for every incentive application must submit their application via online submission using this link, as you can see under Invest Malaysia. Okay, so you need to fill up the application form. Okay, so after MIDA receive the complete application from applicant, MIDA will prepare evaluation report that will be tabled in National Committee on Investment, NCI. Okay, this is our weekly meeting to discuss, to approve all the submission that they receive from the company. Okay, so after approval given by NCI, MIDA will prepare or will issue an interim approval letter to the approved applicant or company. So after that, the process is going to be with MGTC on the determination of effective date. So what you need to do is you just email to us copy of MIDA interim approval letter as well as MIDA notification letter. So we will advise you the process, which is we will provide the form on determination of effective date. This is the form that you can download as well from our website. Okay. We will provide form on determination of effective date. Company need to fill up the form and submit together with all the invoices for the approved project, and that form as well as the invoices must be verified by external auditor. Okay. And then after that, we will verify the information provided by the applicant. Of course, there will be a supporting document that we will request from the what we call it, from the company. All right. So after that, after everything approved, everything in order, so we will issue a letter on effective date to the company. Okay. Moving forward. After the company receive our letter on effective date, so we will proceed with project technical evaluation. Okay, so basically project technical evaluation, this is the document that we will need you to provide to us. Copy of MIDA GTJA form, MyHijau certificate or product certification, and GITA project technical evaluation form, as well as other supporting document. So other supporting document will be based on the condition that's stated in MIDA letter. Okay, this is the supporting document we will advise to the company. Okay, so we will validate the project complies with the GT project criteria. Okay, and then after once everything in order, okay, of course we will have our processing fee for this GITA project. Okay, and after we receive the fee, This means that the project is already approved, already approved by our technical expert, already approved by our management. So we will, we will issue invoice for processing fee. So after that, we will issue, MGTC will issue a validation letter to the applicant. So with that validation letter, meaning that the company, they already comply with all the conditions in MIDA letter. Okay, we will not proceed with the validation, okay, until all the conditions stated in MIDA letter has been complied by the what we call it, by the company. Okay, so after issuance of validation letter, applicant or company may proceed with the process with tax form to IRB. Okay. So yeah, our process for this, actually for this GITA project, we will take actually not more than 21 working days, but that is subject to the completion of the supporting document that the applicant submit to us. Okay, but if what we call it, if the additional information, everything complete, we will not take more than 21 working days. Okay. So moving forward to green income tax exemption or GITE. Okay, guidelines on GITE services. So what is the rules of MGTC on these GITE services? Okay, so basically we will verify the services provided by the applicant. Okay, which is the verification would be based on green services that are registered under the My Hijau mark and as well as listed under the My Hijau directory with 100% income derived from green technology activities only. Okay, so the mandatory requirement for GITA services as well, company need to register under the My Hijau mark. Okay. So the eligibility for GITA services, this is actually for the company which undertakes green technology services activities, okay, and then they must meet the criteria of green technology service provider for this incentive, okay. Actually, the criteria is very, I can say that this is very related to the My Hijau requirement on the services. So basically, first, service provider, they need to have or they need to employ at least 5 full-time working employees that working in Malaysia, including 2 competent personnel. Okay. And number 2, company must have a green technology which is related to the environmental or sustainability. And number 3, they must have documented SOP to ensure the quality of services. Okay, so the SOP actually is related to whatever services they are undertake, which is from A to Z, which is the whole process of that particular services that they are doing. Okay, so number 4. 100% income must be derived from respective green technology services. And then number 5, company must undertake at least 3 qualifying activities from the respective green technology sector. Okay, so actually what does it mean by at least 3 qualifying activities? I give you an example. If you are the solar service provider, so basically solar service provider, you must do at least 3 activities, which is starting from, this is just an example, the qualifying activities, which is maybe you do the advisory on the solar services, you do the maintenance, you do the installation. So basically there is 3 qualifying activities. But let's say you are only doing the maintenance of that services. No, you are not eligible under these GITA services. At least must 3 qualifying activities. Okay. So application must be submitted to MIDA before the issuance of first invoice. Okay, first invoice to your client, right, for the particular green services. And then the period of incentive is for 3 years, starting from the assessment year of the first invoice related to green technology services issued. Okay, 3 years only, not 5 years. Okay, the 5 years is the previous oil regime, call it oil regime. So starting from 2020, the period of incentive is only for 3 years. Okay, so the date of first invoice shall not be earlier than the date of application received by MIDA. Okay, the situation is similar to Gita project, which is you need to submit the application first to MIDA, then later on you issue your first invoice to client. Okay. So this is actually the additional requirement of competent personnel. So at least 2 competent personnel in respective green technology sector with the requirement as follows. Okay, so the competent personnel must be registered with a professional body, must be an active member, must be actively practicing in that respective field. The CPD points must be up to date, and then he or she must be a permanent staff to the company. All right. And rate of incentive for the Gita services is 70% on statutory income, okay, for qualifying green services from the year assessment where the first invoice issued after the application to MIDA. Okay. And for the application made to MIDA, starting from 1st January 2020 until 31st December 2023, the commencement date shall be commenced as follows. Okay, so for the new company, the commencement date from the date of first invoice issued, and of course as verified by MGTC. Okay, and the date shall not be earlier than 1st January 2020. Okay, but for existing company, their commencement date would be from the date of first invoice as verified by MGTC, and the date should not be earlier than the application date to MIDA. But no worries, because in terms of effective date or commencement date, MGTC will verify, and we will state that the eligibility in our effective date letter. Okay. Other conditions, company must obtain verification from MGTC and listed under the My Hijau directory, and there will be an annual verification throughout the incentive period for this category and company after you receive the validation letter from MGTC. So you will need to submit for annual verification throughout the incentive period. Okay. So once verification letter is issued, company may proceed with the process of what we call it, of the tax claim to IRB. Okay. And this is the list of qualifying services for Gita services. Basically, we have 7 qualifying services. So number 1, we have renewable energy for the service provider company that doing the services related to RE, such as system design, feasibility study, advisory or consultancy, as well as testing and commissioning. And number 2, for service provider related to energy efficiency, okay, they are doing their services on such as advisory, consultancy, energy audit and energy management, measurement and verification, or testing and commissioning. So for EV, for the service provider company, they're related to installation, maintenance, repair of EV charging equipment, infrastructure, and EV charging station, or services related to operation of the EV charging station, or services related to the maintenance, repair, as well as overhaul of the EV. Okay, and number 4 is for the service provider on green building. Okay, number 5 is for the service provider that doing the services on green data center. Okay. Number 6 is for the service provider that doing the services on green certification and verification. And number 7 is for the service provider company that doing their services on green township. Okay. So process flow for the GITA services is very related to GITA project, where the submission will need to submit to MIDA first. Okay, so they need to go one by one the process until they receive the interim approval letter from MIDA. Okay, so after that, company need to submit their copy of MIDA interim approval letter as well as MIDA notification letter to MGTC for our process to do on the determination of effective date. Okay, so after everything in order, MGTC will issue letter on effective date to the company. All right. So moving forward to the services verification for GITA services. So basically, we will require the company to submit copy of MIDA GTJA form to us, MyHijau certificate for service provider, as well as other supporting documents as per listed in MIDA interim approval letter. Okay. So we will validate the project complies with the GT services criteria. Okay, and then we will issue invoice for processing fee. After the payment made by the company, we will issue validation letter to the applicant. Okay, so with that validation letter, the next process is with IRP for the tax claim. Okay. Okay, additional information on the annual verification as well as processing fee. So basically for GITA project and GITA services, we will conduct annual verification throughout the incentive period. Okay, but our annual verification is more to document-based verification. We will not go to the site. Okay, so we will just need the company to submit in documents to us, but of course there will be a template for the annual verification that company need to fill up. Okay, so of course there will be a processing fee to be charged to the applicant. So below is the type of incentive as well as the processing fee that company need to what we call it, that we will charge to the company. So for GITA asset, basically for each green technology asset is 1,000. Okay, and GITA project, we will base on the cost of equipment or machinery used in the project. So if you are, if the cost of equipment is less than 500K, so our processing fee will be 2.5K. Okay, so our processing fee will for GITA project will start with 2.5K until 10,000. Okay. And for GITA services, for each application is 2,000, right? Okay, so I think that is for me for Green Technology Tax Incentive. Okay, thank you for your participation. Right, thanks. Over to you, Faiz.
Okay, thank you, Porosma, for the comprehensive inputs on GITA. Now we are officially moving on to the Q&A session. Any participants can ask questions. Should you have further clarification or face-to-face discussion, you may set an appointment with the person in charge via any platforms at your convenience. We should begin the session now. Okay, let me check the question. Okay, we have 6 questions, 3 for MyHijau and 3 for GITA. So for the first question is for Puan Syaira. The question is, adakah produk-produk import yang telah menjawab persejilan hijau wajib didaftarkan untuk mendapatkan label MyHijau di Malaysia, atau adakah ianya bersifat voluntary?
Okay, terima kasih Faiz. So untuk soalan pertama, adakah produk-produk import yang telah ada Green Certification Scheme wajib atau tidak? Untuk menjawab soalan ini sebenarnya dia adalah voluntary lah, bukan mandatory. Ini bermakna jika produk tersebut dah ada Green Certification Scheme, for example Sirim Eco Label ataupun Singapore Green Label ataupun contohnya Japan Eco Mark, produk tersebut perlulah berdaftar terdaftar di laman web kami terlebih dahulu. Dia bukan automatic. Kalau produk tu dah dapat that persijilan, you terus listed in our directory. Tidaklah, you kena mohon dulu. Ada beberapa dokumen yang you kena upload. Kita akan approve, baru akan di-listed dekat My Hijau Mark website lah. Okay? Terima kasih Faiz.
Okay, terima kasih Puan Syairah. So untuk question yang kedua, is the My Hijau directory only for Malaysian companies or foreign companies can also be listed?
Okay, for My Hijau directory, memang kita open for both lah. Malaysian company can be Sdn Berhad, Enterprise, Berhad. So untuk company yang foreign company, you boleh apply juga. Contohnya macam Fuji Zero Private Limited for example kan. Tetapi you kena upload sekali Maida punya approval authorization operation berapa lama dekat Malaysia lah, yang mengatakan you punya company tu dibenarkan allowed to operate in Malaysia within berapa tahun dan sebagainya. So kita perlukan that kind of a support letter lah. Alright. So selain daripada itu, suka juga saya nak share kat sini, selain daripada manufacturer, reseller ataupun you importer ataupun you trader, you nak register produk hak milik daripada principal boleh juga, tetapi kita perlukan letter of authorization ataupun copy of a sale agreement yang mengatakan you ada authorized to bring the product here in Malaysia lah, to sell, to market, to distribute the product here in Malaysia. Okay, right. Thank you Faiz.
Okay, thank you. So for last question untuk My Hijau, will My Hijau marking and green product certificate expand to cover more retail products?
Alright, thank you for the last question. So for your information, apart from My Hijau marking cover for all the equipment and also system like air compressor, chiller, genset and so on, the big equipment. Apart from that, we also actually cover for those consumable product, including the retail product, like for example, sustainable textile. So we do have some eco-friendly home product, sebagai contoh personal care item daripada Isona, daripada Nature Profusion. Okay, so selain daripada itu, kita juga ada some of the product yang made up from recycle ataupun reusable container bag, reusable shopping bag, compostable bin. Okay, so selain daripada itu, kita juga ada recycle toilet tissue, recycle paper, including biodegradable packaging, biodegradable green pot and so on lah. So in the future, we would like to extend or expand more consumable product, including the retail product, to have the My Hijau marking lah, right? So harap dapat menjawab the question lah. Thank you Faiz.
Okay, thank you Puan Syairah for your answer, and we move to Gete. So Puan Rosmah, we have 3 questions for you. So for the first question, what is the challenges that the company perhaps will face in obtaining the verification of KITA?
Right. Thank you, Faiz. So basically, referring to that question, usually the main challenges that will be faced by the company, especially on verification of KITA project, because one of our requirement in MGTC, if the company submit the application for verification to MGTC, so our requirement 60% from the main equipment must be listed under My Hijau directory or have product certification. Okay, and the challenges will appear if the product or equipment is yet to listed and registered under the My Hijau, and they provide to us the product certification, which is consists of safety, quality, and performance compliance. So we will need to review that product certification to meet with our standard. Okay, standard which is recognized by MGTC. So it will take more time to review, to verify again the product certification. But however, if the equipment or product has been listed under My Hijau, we can straight away proceed with the technical evaluation. Okay, and then it will fasten the process of evaluation and verification. Okay, thank you, Faiz. Thank you, Faiz.
Okay, thank you, Panosma. Sorry, I think my connection is interrupt. Okay, so we move to question 5. How long the process of verification for the incentive?
Okay, so basically MGTC process, we will take not more than 21 working days upon complete documentation, and MIDA process will take about 4 to 6 weeks, okay, to provide the interim approval letter. This is, I'm answering on GITA project and GITA services, yeah. So in total, the application and verification, both MIDA and MGTC will take almost 3 months, okay.
All right. So for the last question, when we submit the GITA project application, what if project value or cost for equipment input is base estimation? What if the cost is higher than submitted?
All right. Okay. So referring to this question, due to the policy of GITA project, okay, GITA project, I'm answering on GITA project lah, yeah, because this is the most application, the highest application that we do receive. So due to the policy of GITA project, that we didn't allow capex to be incurred before the submission to MIDA. Okay, so the company may put estimation figure in MIDA application form. Okay, and they will accept it as a proposal. Okay, MIDA will accept your application as a proposal. Whatever estimation figure in that, okay, they will accept it. However, during the submission for verification to MGTC, company must able to provide a proof of project completion as well as the total invoice incurred for the approved project. Okay, and we, MGTC, we will refer to the cost stated in the invoice as a final capex. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Puan Rosma and Puan Sarah. So for another question that we have not mentioned, we will reply in email. Ladies and gentlemen, we will end this webinar. We really appreciate it if you can fill up the survey form that you will receive in email at the end of webinar. And we also welcome you to visit our booth, My Job Pavilion at MGTC. On behalf of MGTC, we would like to thank you for your active and notable participation during this webinar. That's all from us. Lindungi diri, lindungi semua. Thank you.